Hello and welcome to Nick V Uncensored. Today we've got Chris Burris and Patty Greer, and today we're going to be talking about the longevity glitch, the 2012 study they couldn't bury. Guys, why couldn't they bury this study? Well, Chris, let's go with you first.
Well, I think it's partly because of me and Patty's big mouth, and we've done a good job of making sure that this doesn't get buried. And I think at the end of the day, you're looking at the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals in history. You often kind of wonder if people are intentionally trying to bury things like this.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's no surprise that they would try to bury something like this for political reasons, for profit reasons, pharmaceutical reasons, big companies like that. And there's a lot of things that they've buried. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that have now become conspiracy facts. So that tells us as well that they've tried to bury loads of things like that too. But you've got a presentation that you want to show. But before we go there, Patty, is there anything that you'd like to say as well? How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. It's lovely to see you. And my answer would be short and sweet. I think they buried it because it works. And then we upgraded the molecule to become something that really helps people and pets, blended it with organic, top of the line olive oil, and now the results are insanely good. And our company, our lab, we are proud to say, delivered the actual formula that people can get from us today to the study that holds, as Chris said, the longest longevity results in lab rat history, in mammal lab test history. So 90% life extension is no small deal when the next one is 30%. Like, that's the closest they've come. And we are way over. Why don't people know? Probably because it works. So Chris and I are on your show. You're in England. We're in America. We're getting the word out, but it is a breakthrough remedy that, is not known. So what a great thing, for those of us that are taking it daily to see the benefits. What is benefiting you about this product? And what do you say we take a shot before you tell us? Because I want to hear what your testimonial is. You've been taking it now probably a year or two.
Yeah, I have. But let's take a shot. And I'm smiling because I told you before we started this show, and I thought it was a little bit embarrassing, but I will tell the viewers. Okay, but let's take a shot first.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you too. That was great. So
Nick has a confession.
So I take a tablespoon of this every night before I go to sleep and every morning when I wake up. And to my surprise, it's really increased my libido. Thanks to Chris and Patty. I owe you one.
That is awesome.
It does.
And
it
his
really...
first child was named C60 Evo.
But Chris, let's talk about this, yeah? Because is it a placebo, or is there any links to this research that you've done with C60 Evo that can increase your libido?
Well, you ask a really good question, right? When you're thinking about something that's new, this is a new molecule, potentially buried. Your consideration should be placebo, right? Because the reality is the placebo effect affects everything. It affects the medications you take. It affects the diet you eat, affects the exercise. It literally has that much of an impact. And we'll talk at some point during this presentation of how we think this is not a placebo effect. We're actually going to be talking about the specific research that carries this through, and to have a positive impact on libido. By the way, not the first time we've heard that. Right. We've absolutely heard that before. So not that surprised and excited for you. Here is kind of the first slide. Hopefully you guys can see that.
Yep.
And we're going to be talking about this ESS60 molecule. Let's see if I can get I think I got to click there, which is this beautiful molecule. There's actually a book called The Most Beautiful Molecule, which is about this molecule. It was discovered in 1985 here in Houston. That's where our lab is based at Rice University. And the three scientists, that's Dr. Smalley, Dr. Curl, and Dr. Croto, actually won the Nobel Prize for the discovery of this molecule in 1996. Our lab started manufacturing it in 1991, a full 5 years before they were awarded the Nobel Prize. it's not, I'm not a braggadocious person, so I like to say it's not unreasonable to suggest that the fact we were delivering commercial quantities of this material to research institutions around the world and getting it into the hands of research scientists, and they could identify how valuable this molecule was, is part of the reason that they won the Nobel Prize in 1996. So pretty fascinating. The molecule performs as well or better than the current best material in almost every application. It makes better inks, better batteries, better tires, better photocells. Some people kind of get nervous at that point because we are talking about a health supplement. And I want to talk first how we think this is working, because it's foundational to the continuation of the discussion. We're going to get into the three key pieces of that original study, but how does this work? We know from peer-reviewed published research that this ESS60 molecule gets into the mitochondria. These are kind of images of the mitochondria. We also know from way back in the 90s that it can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles like these here. So what does that look like? So the mitochondria is the powerhouse of every cell. There's between 50 and 5,000 mitochondria in every cell in your body, except for your blood cells, which have 0, and your brain and neurons, which have 2 million. It is impressive how much energy our nervous system uses relative to our other systems. Like any power source, there is a negative byproduct. In the case of mitochondria, it's these reactive oxygen species, ROSs. So these reactive oxygen species. I like to picture these like little bumper cars. If they're left to their own devices, these bumper cars, everything they smack into in your body, they cause rust, oxidative stress, oxidative damage. And internal to the mitochondria, you actually have glutathione and melatonin. These are antioxidants to manage those reactive oxygen species so they don't run around like little bumper cars. And here in this healthy mitochondria, you can see these kind of beautiful blue reactive oxygen species. They've already reacted with either glutathione or melatonin, and so they are managed well and they are not causing damage. But what happens when you stress a mitochondria? First off, how do you stress a mitochondria? I like to point out, if you're alive in modern society, then you have stressed mitochondria. And that can be a tough workout. It can be smoking, drinking, too much EMF exposure, which we're all getting EMF exposure. If you're alive in modern society, you have stressed mitochondria, and that's when it starts producing more reactive oxygen species than can be managed by the glutathione and melatonin. So you can see here, there is some of the reactive oxygen species that are bonded with melatonin and glutathione, but the ones that are not, now they can get outside of the mitochondria and they can run around like those bumper cars, causing damage. And that's where the ESS60 molecule comes in. Again, we know from peer-reviewed published research it gets into the mitochondria, and then we know it can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles. So instead of these negatively charged particles running around and causing damage, they're just being held onto by the ESS60 molecule. And then when that mitochondria can replenish the glutathione and replenish the melatonin, then it will bond to them like it normally does, and never having experienced the damage of the mitochondria. So the way we summarize it is we've reduced the negative impact of stressed mitochondria. And if you reduce the negative impact of stressed mitochondria, you should have systemic benefits. You should have what we have, which are head-to-toe testimonials.
Really good. Chris, let me ask you, you know the last picture, the ESS60 is the boss, that one.
Yes.
You've got, I think you said you got 6 of those red things going around it. Yeah, sorry for my layman's terms.
Yeah, the ROSs. Yeah.
Yeah. Do they disappear eventually?
No, so it just holds on to them, right? So that they can't run around and do damage. And your mitochondria has the ability to replenish melatonin and glutathione. So when it replenishes that melatonin and glutathione, then it'll just come and bond to these and turn them into the blue ones, so that they're not causing any damage. So they're not these bumper cars.
So you're saying that the red ones eventually turn blue?
Yes.
Okay. And then it eventually becomes like the first picture?
Yes.
Okay.
You can see this picture is already better, right? Because you don't have reactive oxygen species running around and causing any damage and escaping the mitochondria. They're being held by that ESS60 molecule.
Right.
And they're being detoxed, Nicholas. It's detoxification, and then they go back to natural form. So they're being cleaned.
So you're saying that, okay, so there's an extra mechanic in the ESX60 cellular one than the first picture that's doing something extra here?
Yeah. So if you think about, again, unstressed, but we all have stressed. Now you got stressed and there's extra reactive, these red dots are the extra reactive oxygen species that the mitochondria can't naturally handle at the rate it's being produced. That's when this ESS60 molecule holds on to them. So I've got another analogy. Maybe this fits. So
Yeah.
I like to describe, I think every biological analogy should start with Mardi Gras, right? Because a lot of biology happens at Mardi Gras. So it's the end of Mardi Gras, and you have these drunk reactive oxygen species running around on Bourbon Street, causing oxidative stress, oxidative damage, painting the windows, smashing cars, whatever. And the New Orleans Police Department, the glutathione and the melatonin, come on to Bourbon Street. They handcuff themselves to those reactive oxygen species and get them off of Bourbon Street. But what happens when the New Orleans Police Department gets overwhelmed? They take those reactive oxygen species and they attach them to the ESS60 molecule. They stick them in a paddy wagon so they can't do any damage. And then when the New Orleans Police Department replenishes the glutathione, replenishes the melatonin, then they bond, they handcuff themselves to those reactive oxygen species and get them off of Bourbon Street.
Very good. Interesting. Okay.
And like Patty said, the detoxification is a great way to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an outline. I'm going to talk about these three things. The study came out in mid-2012, and it had three key components. My director of research at one point was like, hey, this could have been 5 papers. We'll just talk about 3 key components. One of them is the life extension. The next one is tumor-free. And the next one is actually liver protective effect in the liver against a liver oxidative agent called carbon tetrachloride. So here's the fundamental study, the thing that kind of launched this into we'll say the stratosphere, right? There were 3 groups of rats. One was the water rat. That's a control group. One was given olive oil, kind of a semi-control group. And then one was given olive oil with the ESS60 molecule. And these water rats die typically, as is normal, at about 32 months, and they did. The olive oil rats lasted out on average to 38 months, so an 18% increase. I always say, I know you love olive oil. If you like olive oil or don't like olive oil, no matter how much olive oil you're consuming, you should probably consume more because it has protective effects. But nothing compared to this 90% extension of life, where the ESS60 rats and olive oil lived all the way out to 62 months. So a fantastic result. And we're going to come back to this because there's a tumor aspect of it. But first, let's get into this carbon tetrachloride version. Great. I don't know if you had any questions. If you had any questions, just let me know.
Yeah. No, it's all good. Yeah.
So in this group, so it was obviously different rats because this group of rats didn't live 90% longer, but same kind of systems where they've got one group of rats were a control group given water, one was a semi-control group given olive oil, and the other one was the olive oil with the ESS60 molecule. Carbon tetrachloride is an oxidative agent, the same way those reactive oxygen species. It's an oxidative agent that attacks the liver. So they injected the rats. They were pre-treated with either water, olive oil, or olive oil with ESS60. They injected the rats with carbon tetrachloride, and 24 hours later, they euthanized them and inspected the livers. Now, these are representations of the slides that they took of the livers, but they're really good representations. And you can see, as is normal, there was almost zero recovery of the liver from that carbon tetrachloride in the water rats, that control rat. There was some improvement in the olive oil rats. And almost complete recovery in the olive oil with the ESS60 rats. So as an antioxidant agent in the liver, this is absolutely on the table, and we're excited to kind of see that research carry forward.
Okay.
And then here is arguably the biggest one, right? So a typical Wistar rat, again, lives out to about 32 months and has a known amount of tumor mass in its body. The longer it lives, the more tumor mass there is in its body. You can see this tumor mass is growing as the days pass by. In fact, again, the longer it lives, the more tumor mass it should have in its body. Even though the ESS60 rats lived out to 62 months, none of them had any tumors. Right. So they should have, if you think about projecting this line, they should have had tumors like way up here. They had 0 tumors. Now, I've told this story to lots of people, and a number of people be like, oh, wow, so it's a cure for cancer. And my response is no. And then I follow that with another no. There is a big difference between dealing with a cancer that has metastasized and potentially being a cancer preventative. We know things as simple as good exercise, good nutrition, good sleep are good cancer preventatives. I will add one other piece that I think is really, really important. And it's a Petri dish study, which is the lowest level of study, in my opinion. To take something from a Petri dish into a live animal or human is a big stretch, but there are some profound implications. So in a Petri dish, they had healthy cells and cancer cells, and they introduced an anti-cancer agent. And what an anti-cancer agent is a poison. It's trying to poison the cancer cells before the healthy cells. In the presence of the ESS60 molecule, there was increased efficacy of that anti-cancer agent against the cancer cells and protective effect for the healthy cells. Basically, in the presence of ESS60, more cancer cells died and less healthy cells died. And that is something that supports this. Now, you could quickly ask, why might that be true? We may not know the exact mechanisms, but one thing that we certainly know is that the mitochondria of cancer cells use a different energy source for energy. So no matter what's going on, there is a difference between how the mitochondria is functioning inside of a healthy cell versus a cancer cell. And because we know the ESS60 molecule gets in there, we think that has some ramifications for what's going on in that Petri dish and also what's going on in this rat study where the rats live 90% longer.
Excellent.
And then, I just want to jump right to people often ask, hey, what do you expect? Right? That's a very fair question. What we see people reporting to us really maps our most consistent testimonial, which is people take the product in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. So we see like month 1 is focus and energy. The testimonial that I lean on here is we got some product to an influencer. She submitted a video that evening, the first day she tried the product, and she pointed out that she didn't finish her cup of coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, like that's a big deal to not finish it and, to even notice it. I'll share, I used to be a 2 to 3 cup of coffee per day person. I'm now down to like 1, maybe a half. A lot of it is just the ritual of coming to the office and making my cup of coffee and then sitting down and I like the test. Also in month 1, there is clear research that if you replace saturated fats with a fat like olive oil, there will be weight loss implications. So that's on the table in month 1. Month 2, we really notice deeper sleep. I think the reason I think people actually experience it in month 1, but they don't really notice it until month 2, because every day everybody gets a little bit more, a little bit less of sleep. And it can be hard to pinpoint, I started taking C60 Evo on this day and my sleep has been better. It just takes about 2 months for that to happen. There is one testimonial that I lean on here. I have a business coach who said for 50 years he needed an alarm clock to wake up. When he starts taking the C60 Evo formula, he wakes up before the alarm clock. So he's a business coach. He's out doing late night mixers. He's got late night dinners. None of that matters unless he doesn't get the product for about 10 days, and then he starts to need the alarm clock again. And then finally, in month 3, frankly, we start getting testimonials in month 3 that are so profound that we can't share them, right? They end up being disease claims and the FDA won't allow us to share them. We've got to do the research, which is why we're actually driving research. We're doing a clinical trial on migraines. We're doing a clinical trial on hsCRP, which is an inflammatory marker. We're doing one, a more in-depth one on sleep. And then also we're doing wrinkles and age spots. So we believe in that research, so we'll be able to talk about it. But for now, we can't really say much from all the testimonials that are coming in. What I will share is my father-in-law was using a cane. And at about month 3, taking the product, he no longer needed the cane, so started walking further. And so not because of our product, but because of this extra walking, started losing weight. That became this kind of circular, positive, systemic benefit. And that's kind of what we see in month 3.
So let me ask you this, Chris. You say that your father-in-law was taking it for month 3. Do you know the dose he was taking every day?
Yeah, it was 1 teaspoon per day.
Wow. So I'm taking 2 tablespoons a day.
Yep.
So 1 in the morning, 1 at night. So am I taking too much, be honest?
I think you could get away with taking less. In terms of too much, like it's okay. It's a safe product. We know that people take lots of the product. You're at about 6 times. You're probably taking twice as much of what I take a day because I also take a lot more than what we,
Okay.
what
Should I go down to the 1 tablespoon in the, do you think, a day?
In
You
the
should play
morning.
around with it and figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a lot of people take it at night because it gives you a lot of energy. It could be why you've got the hot and heavy libido at night is because you take it, you got all this energy.
Well, don't
Where do
get
you
rid of
put
that.
it?
Well,
Don't get rid of that. That sounds crazy.
Actually, I get it in the morning and midday.
Oh,
Well, lucky you, young lover. I think it's fabulous. But, if you're truly asking, we don't recommend evening. I recommend before noon so that you can benefit all day long. I do a tablespoon or two every day, and I'm just a little thing, 5'2". So, but I had a lot to heal and detox. Chris talks a lot of science, but the benefits are really what you see in front of you. Like all three of us have really nice skin and really healthy hair, and a lot of people don't. And the product really makes a difference. And it's got 34 years of hard work at Chris's lab in Houston, Texas. So it's not like we're just coming out the gate. This is tried and true, but it wasn't tried and true for people and pets until the 2012 study, which they used our product, and it was like, not only not toxic, but fantastic for longevity. So here we are talking about the benefits, the three main breakthroughs. But the fact is, it's a breakthrough remedy like CBD was 20 years ago. Like I keep thinking 15, now it's probably 20, but it was like hush hush back then. And now everybody knows of it. Many people use it. But this is, I think, going to be the new one of this decade, or perhaps this quadrant of 2026 moving into the next 25 years of the evolution of people's health. A simple thing with this and a spoon in your tool belt, I mean, it doesn't get easier. But the proof is in what you see and feel rather than on the label or in an ad. And I think that what we're facing now in the world with so much lack of trust with so many people because of what we're being shown is really causing people to doubt things can actually work. And, to call it a miracle molecule is not an understatement. When I met Chris, I was really dealing with a lot of health issues, and a lot of our customers were. And we had one of our influencers start the show by screaming last week that he, after 30 years, finally got rid of something that's been dreadful for him. Can't say it on the air because we're not allowed to make claims, but he did. And he's going, I don't need the thing on my ARP anymore after 30 years. And I don't need this drug and that drug. And, Chris and I kind of sit back as we want to be mindful of the rules and regulations, but people are having incredible improvements in things that have bothered them for decades. So that's why we're doing the migraine study, because we're hearing firsthand experiences. And also, you guys personally have had incredible lack of having to go through that since taking this product daily. I have people in my family, I didn't even know they dealt with it. And as soon as they got on the products, they were like, what a difference. So it's really about noticeable benefits. It's not like something where you go, oh, preventative in 20 years, I won't get, any of that. When you know you're going to do a race or a big hike tomorrow, take an extra spoonful in the morning and you're going to notice the difference in your strength and endurance and flexibility. And it's only because it lubricates head to toe. I'll say that for me. I'm not speaking scientifically. That's his job. But when I take it, I just can't believe what it's done for my flexibility. And I'm in my 70s, so I don't take it lightly when something actually works. And it continues to work. And I don't hardly ever forget to take it. But last week, I skipped one day because, oh crap, I ran out in the morning and I just kept going with my coffee. And a few hours later, I was having a conversation and I was taking a moment to like find the words, like, you know, ridiculous. My mind always like really, I can flow with my language, but I was like stumbling and I went, crap, one day no Evo. And I'm like noticing it. So I went and grabbed the bottle, took a shot and remembered everything. But it is immediately noticeable when you start detoxing the mitochondria, which Chris was talking about. And when people say, how does that relate to me? The brain itself has 2 million mitochondria per cell. So the rest of the body has 50 to 5,000. 2 million is a whole lot more. So when we take this, the first thing we're going to probably notice is a little bit of mental shifting. Like,
Mm.
wow, I have more energy, but I also am thinking more clearly. And the brain fog kind of minimizes. And I think that's what people want to know is what can it do for me? Like,
Yeah.
how can it make my life better? Because, oh my God, $80, and some people throw out $200. It's like, no, you sign up for a monthly subscription. You can cancel if you don't love it. It's $80 to start. And you have a teaspoon a day. And if after a week or two you don't notice, I'll be surprised. But if you want to take a tablespoon a day, you get an 8-ounce bottle and you've got plenty to go, but this is tried and true to remedy that is two ingredients. One of them is you can find it in nature if you go way into outer space or to the edge of a volcano, you can get some C60. But Chris and Robert figured out how to make it in their lab, and they've got a massive facility in America, in Houston. 34 years they've mastered the science, but it wasn't until the evolution of taking it from being industrial grade to becoming safe for people and pets, which is the ESS60 upgrade to this whole C60 industry. So when I see the very few people that say, in the comments, oh, I tried it, it didn't work, and tried it for years ago, it's like, well, did you try C60 Evo? Because the ESS 60 is different than industrial grade from China. So, we want to encourage people to get the good stuff
Yeah.
so that you can really enjoy the benefits. And increase libido. Now, that's a good one. I like hearing that. I think a lot of men and women would love the thought of that, especially with Valentine's Day being just behind us. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing I haven't heard that it doesn't help get better.
Yeah.
So I'm dancing around words because we can't say the word HEAL, or CURE, or those words are like
Yeah. You can't
so.
say it. Yeah. Because we live in a corrupt system, right? But I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, we can't. We can reverse things. We can prevent things. Isn't it, Chris? You know the right words.
Yes, you can support your body's natural ability to do all of those wonderful things.
There you go. See, Chris he just knows the lingo. Me and you, Patty, we just get in trouble.
Oh, well, at least you don't get texts from Chris. You said the word, well, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, he's mindful because we don't want to have to make any changes like, be really quiet. It's enough already.
Yeah,
But
we don't
with
want to shut
Bobby,
the company down.
yeah, we don't want that.
Exactly. And
So
you're doing the right thing.
with Bobby Kennedy Jr. replacing Rachel Levine, which was, the interesting entity that was representing health and human services. Wow, what an upgrade. And Bobby Kennedy Jr. has received gift boxes from us. I just think we're part of the new wave of moving into a better future for all people and pets, which is, honoring ourselves. And when I started by, I closed the curtain. I don't even want to see what's going on outside. And I don't know which is harder, knowing or not knowing when we look at the sky and see the hate mail from Satan.
Hmm.
But today, something's going on in Colorado because I think shall we say, leaders are being caught for a lot of really bad deeds. They're being defunded because of the sanctuary foolishness. And so they're doing this in the sky to numb the people down. And for me, especially, I'm sensitive to seeing that level of hate in the sky. And so I just double down on the ESS 60.
I
I
love
just
it.
feel like, what can I do? I can do this.
I love it. No, definitely. And I'm going to put the link below in the description so all the viewers have access to this amazing C60 Evo that I take every morning and night with a tablespoon each, which apparently it's a lot, but it helps me. But but guys,
Well,
thank
look
you.
at you. Look at you.
Yeah.
Now, do you do this also because you're glowing? Do you do
No,
the
I
facial
don't.
serum?
I don't. I literally just take this.
Oh, okay. We're
Yeah.
going to have to upgrade your daily regime because these two are what we recommend on your landing page. If you want to pop up the landing page just quick before we go, a lot of your viewers are like, hopefully, if they haven't seen us before, they're like, where do I start? And we're always talking about the olive oil. So we're doing the special on the 3-pack to the right, which is what we recommend because it'll take you 3 months for the full benefits. But you'll notice in a few days or a week, wow, I do feel a little different. So you can get deals on 1 or 2 or 3 sets, and you get a better deal if you buy 6 at a time. We also offer monthly subscriptions. There's all different ways to save money with Evo. Please use all the benefits and save money. And when people say, where do I start? This is called our C60 Evo starter set. It's the facial serum, all natural, really wonderful, and the 4 ounce. We also have an 8 ounce starter set of the olive oil. And I do want to mention the ESS60 is made in our lab. The olive oil is organic, cold pressed, extra virgin from a farm in Tunisia. This is not questionable olive oil. It's the really good stuff. And Nicholas knows the difference with real olive oil. So we recommend these products as great starters. And the guys at the lab that were like, facial serum, what are you kidding? And then they all started looking better. So they started experimenting, came up with another facial serum called the Youth Renew Duo that's encouraging to try it something new with the peptides. So you've got 2 bottles that are separated because we didn't want to use emulsifiers and different icky chemicals. So we had to separate the lotion and the oil, and then you freshly pump it into your hand and drops the oil, freshly activate, apply to your face, and you will see wonderful results most likely. Again, you can sign up for a monthly subscription to save more money. And on this landing page, which is C60EVO, like evolution.com/NVTV, Nicholas Veniamin TV. You're going to find this page, and then you'll find a special code from Nicholas to get another $15 off at checkout. So whatever you decide to try, you're going to find that hopefully you'll want to stay on a subscription or sign up because we do about 70% of our customer sales are resubscribes. People just don't tend to quit. And then you go further down the page, there's testimonials from a lot of our customers that are very satisfied because, we can only say so much, but people from around the world are just making claims that are over the top, super exciting. And a lot of them might relate to people in your audience. So take a moment, c60evo.com/NVTV. And you can use that also at checkout. You see right there to get another discount. But we hope that your audience will try it and, see improvements in their health and in their pets. We do it for dogs and cats also. Our pets are 18 and 22-year-old cats. The 22-year-old just passed away, but if you want to keep your pets around a little longer, it's a really good idea.
Well, guys, thank you very much for sharing everything with us today. The link's below in the description. So check the description, click it, try it, let us know, send your testimonials to the website as well, and leave your comments below in the description. But guys, thank you very much. And we'll speak again very soon. You take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take